now I have a professional joining me who is a financial expert, the chairman of the Abuja District Chapter of ICAN, Dr. ADEADEBAYO SHUAIB. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us on Business Daily.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Doctor, you have heard about the major development in the Nigeria's tax reform space. Talking about the withholding taxes announced by Taiwo Oyedele, the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, where he has announced, the exemption of certain groups of Nigerians from paying the withholding tax. What are your thoughts on this development, and what would you say is the rationale behind these reforms?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I need to appreciate the good effort of the Presidential Committee headed by Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, the Prof himself, and his team for the job well done. It's a good welcome development to Nigeria, especially the current situation we are facing. And if you remember, when the president inaugurated the committee, the chair of the committee, Taiwo Oyedele, said they will fine-tune way of easy doing of business. So one of the release we are just seeing as regards the withholding tax is a welcome development. And if time permits, I can further go ahead to dissect those things that we a small and medium scale organizations and other farmers and manufacturers that were exempted for withholding tax burden.
But before we go to the specific details of the withholding tax, what would you say is the rationale behind this decision?
Good. The rationale behind this decision is to support the agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the Renew Hope agenda of ease of doing business. And in the withholding tax community, or what will I say, that in the professional community and environmental community that has to do with application of withholding tax, many are confusing it to the extent that some cannot determine the rate to be used for a particular transaction. So this release is individual to understand what is due to be deducted, organization to understand what is due to be deducted, a foreigner, either company, foreign organization, or individual foreigner, to know what is applicable to be deducted as approved and signed by the coordinating Minister of Economy and Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Olawale Adebayo Edu.
Well said there, Doctor, but there is still so much more to come as we shall be delving into the specifics now of all that we have heard so far as regards to the withholding tax, according to Taiwo Oyedele, who is the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee. But let's go on a short break. When we return, the conversation Business Daily coming to you live on Trust TV. And just before the break, we started a conversation on the new introduction where the federal government has approved a business-friendly withholding tax regime. And this is according to Taiwo Oyedele, who is the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, where he came out to say on social media yesterday that, this withholding tax exempts small businesses, farmers, manufacturers from paying withholding tax. But I still have my guest with me, who is Dr. ADEADEBAYO SHUAIB. He is a financial expert as well as the chairman of ICAN Abuja District Chapter. Thank you again, Doctor, for coming on the program this morning.
Once again, my pleasure.
Okay. Before we go again into, looking at the specific demands and requirements of the withholding tax regime. I would like for you, for the benefit of our viewers who may or may not know what the withholding tax is, what would you define it to be in the simplest of terms?
Thank you very much. Withholding tax in the simplest form is upfront deduction of tax. As the word states, withholding, to withhold something. If you do business, you earn income as individual or you do business, you are to pay government company income tax or personal income tax as individual. But because there is no more sincerity, people do reduce or falsify the actual amount they made from their business or the actual income they earn. In 1977, then, government now introduced what we call a deduction at source. Withhold whatever you've earned. Take, for example, you have earned 20 million and that person needs to pay you that 20 million. But if the rate is 10%, the person will remit 2 million to government and pay you 18 million. That doesn't mean that 2 million belongs to the government immediately, but it's just a form of paying in advance. So when government is to now assess you as individual or the organization, government will now look at the total amount of your income and tell you that this is your tax. Whereas you already have amount withheld with the government. Let's say they ask you to pay 3.5 million and 2 million is already withheld. What you will now pay is 1.5. That is the essence of withholding tax. In fact, if I would like to shock you, there was a transaction I did with a donor of us in US. I now deducted a withholding tax. The person was amazed and said, why should I charge them tax again? That they didn't understand what is called withholding tax, because outside there, majority of them do not impose what we call withholding tax, because people are free will to pay tax and they remit what is due to the government, because the government will use it for social amenities, security, and others. But in here, many do not have that sincerity or purpose to declare what they actually earn. That is the reason why the withholding tax of 1977 came on board, but was refined in 2024 now.
Well said there, Doctor, especially, in the way you explained it for those watching and may be confused as to what it really does mean. But I'd like for us to look at the exemptions. Quite a number of exemptions were listed. Exemptions for small businesses, exemptions for farmers, exemptions for manufacturers as well, and exemption for low margin businesses. I'm looking specifically at the term, low margin businesses, and what specific criteria will determine if a business qualifies as low margin?
Yes, thank you very much. I think there should be an addendum to that, which the prof promised. And if you look at the release that the coordinating minister of economy that said this will take effect from 1st July 2024, that low margin income is yet to be certainly defined. But in line with Corporate Affairs Commission, if you earn revenue less than 20 million or so, we categorize you as small and medium scale. But when it comes to low margin, it can be where organization is having a lower profit on their business, or something around the threshold of 5 million or below. So what the government is intended to do there is not to overburden them. You know already that if you earn revenue less than 220 million, this is not subject to company income tax, but you need to file according to the Financial Act. So we can still look at it that low margin income organization or low margin or small business can be within threshold of 5 million to 10 million. That will be my own judgment. But for now, what the government is trying to do is to encourage small business and leave them to flourish. Likewise, the farmer, the producer of goods and services, most especially when we are facing hike in food prices. You will agree with me that these withholding tax have been weighed for farmers, producers, even the low margin small business, not even only them, the real estate. And if you look at construction industry as well, before the withholding tax for company individual range from 5 to 10%, but now the government have reduced that drastically, both for company and individual, provided you are constructing road, you are constructing power plants, you are constructing dams and etc. That has been reduced to 2%. So what that intend is that if we have good infrastructure, if we have food production, then the economy will take shape back and government can now have a leeway of getting more revenue from physical angle where the business is booming and everything is going on well as expected. But currently, the government wants to ensure that the body of withholding tax is removed from all these organizations I mentioned.
Well said, Doctor. But I will still like for us to stick with conversations around the exemptions. Like you rightly mentioned, SMEs, farmers, manufacturers have been exempted. And the question now is specifically on, SMEs, which are obviously the backbone of the Nigerian economy, over 40 million SMEs. Currently in operation. But what the question now is, how would you explain that these changes in withholding tax will alleviate the strain of, the working capital of a business? What ways do you expect for it to impact on, these small businesses and their working capital?
Good. It's a very good question you're asking. When you pay withholding tax at source, because you have 21 days to remit this withholding tax, in the month of deduction, you have by law, you have 21 days after the month of deduction to remit to relevant tax authority, either Federal Inland Revenue Service or the State Inland Revenue Service of the state, IRS, depending. Your question is about the working capital. You will agree with me that the working capital as defined by accounting equation is your current obligations and your current earnings, your current assets minus your current liability. The money that remains is what you can use to turn on business. With this decision of reducing the burden from the medium scales, farmers, construction company, they will have more working capital. Why am I saying that? The money they're supposed to have remitted in advance can still be with them at the end of their financial transaction, where they will now file this return to the appropriate revenue house. So before they file this return, the amounts that they're supposed to have paid as advance tax is with them and they can use it for business. That amount that is with them is classified as a additional working capital that's supposed to have remitted in advance. Don't talk of the time it will take to prepare it. Let's look at the inconvenience that will be involved and other things like that. So to me, it boosts the working capital of the organization before they will now file their final account to be assessed for company income tax if they pass the threshold that is for company income tax.
Okay. Part of the changes in the withholding tax, according to Taiwo Oyedele, is the credit utilization, where he talked about the changes regarding credit and obtaining credit. And the question now that comes to mind is, how will the ease of obtaining credit and the utilization of the tax deducted be improved under this new system? Is there any specific changes that we should look out for when it comes to obtaining credit and utilizing credit?
Thank you very much. I think the moment the president announces and the Federal Inland Revenue before now swing into action, having what we call tax promise. That tax promise has been fine-tuned to the extent that you can file in your withholding tax in the comfort of your office. Like my organization and many organizations, you file in that withholding tax, you put the name of the beneficiary, the TIN number, the gross amount, the rate you want to deduct, and the net amount for those individuals. Now, what the individual needs to do is very, very easy. Whenever they want to submit their return, the credits that they will earn is already showing in the tax promise, amount already remitted on their behalf. So if government is asking them to pay 20 million and they already have 12 million as withholding tax credit, it means they will pay 8 million. It's very transparent now, especially with the Federal Inland Revenue Service tax promise. So it's nothing to worry about like the olden days where you need to go and be collecting withholding tax credit notes in the paper form like a certificate. But now you don't need that. Whenever your customers or your person you deal with, you dealt with on the business transaction have deducted the withholding tax, putting your TIN number, is sitting down in your account waiting for you, pending where you will file your account and utilize the withholding tax credits. It's so simple now. I can assure you of that.
Okay, from all you've said, you're saying that the process is now a lot more transparent and, simplified in a way that, for businesses to have full clarity on what is really happening. But regarding this withholding tax now, are there specific dates and timelines that Nigerians should expect? I mean, we did hear, like I stated, from the Taiwo Oyedele, who is the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, and also the coordinating Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, where he said that this was expected to have started on the 1st of July 2024. However, not so much has been said as to when we will get the full details of the withholding tax regime. But is there any information that you have regarding the timeline and date going forward?
Yes, thank you very much. As you asked, the coordinating Minister of Economy and the Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Olawale Edun, have already released a circular which you have referenced where that starting from July 1st, and the chairman of Presidential Tax Committee have also announced that full details will be released due to the exigency of ensuring that Nigeria business space is friendly. I want to believe that before the month ends, all the full details will be out. But in the coordinating minister release, all the rates were well spelled out. One, there are some mismatch before, but it's very clear now. You have company, and that company can either be a company that is incorporated in Nigeria or foreign organization. What is due to them in terms of royalty, dividends, construction, other construction, etc. Everything is well stated, either 5%, 10%, 2%, as the case may be. Also on individual, the coordinating minister and the chairman of Presidential Tax Committee, they articulated it well, where the individual that is indigenous of Nigeria and individual that is foreign organization. All this is well articulated. But I can assure you, as I've said earlier, before the end of the month, the full details, and I think, don't forget, there is a power already given to the coordinating minister to amend the physical aspect of our tax policy. And if you did not forget, the coordinating minister quoted it in his release by the power conferred on him by CETA, section 81, subsection 9, and other withholding tax law, petroleum income tax, capital gain tax, etc. is well referenced. And is that power that the economy minister of finance and coordinating economy minister is using. So for us, organizations supposed to start implementing it immediately.
Okay, well said, Doctor. Just before we go, you are someone that monitors the financial space very closely. But are there other, tax reforms that you might be calling for or clamoring for, especially in the support of small businesses and, like the document stated, low-margin businesses at this time?
Pardon, sorry, can you... I couldn't get that.
I said that you are someone that
there's some little noise in
the finance space closely. But are there other tax reforms that you might be recommending, especially to support small businesses to stay afloat in the current business climate?
Yes, I think, yes, I agree with you. The chairman of Presidential Committee on Tax Reform is looking at that. You will agree with me that the small and medium scale is not only withholding tax we are talking about. The small businesses, they pay AMAC rates, they pay acting permits, they pay many things like that. But what the chairman have told us, because we are close to him, in a fora, he said, if you look at all these pockets of taxes, there are more than 10. So for ease of doing business for small and medium scales, and even Nigeria in general, all these taxes want to be consolidated to a particular form so that we won't have more than 3 or 4 forms of tax. We all know our VAT, we all know our company income tax, personal income tax, and one or more. Instead of license of TV, kiosk permits, operating permits, AMAC permits, many other permits like that that affect the small and medium scale. Expect more from, I can assure you, from Mr. Tinubu and his team. Don't forget, it's not only him in the team. The President of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria is part of them. The CITM president and other professionals, they are members of the team. And I think they mean well for Nigeria. The moment they release other bulletin, we can see that ease of doing business. What they also aim is to put more people into TaxNet and reduce the tax burden of Nigerians.
Well said, very welcome development there by putting more Nigerians into the tax net and reducing the tax burden on businesses in Nigeria. Had a very insightful conversation with Dr. ADEADEBAYO SHUAIB, who is a financial expert. He is also the chairman of ICAN, Abuja District Chapter. Thank you for, breaking down this complex document by the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee. Thank you for all the insight you've shared today on Business Daily.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the background noise, and I wish you a lovely day.
Thank you, Doctor. This is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Business Daily, coming to you live on Trust TV. But you can join the conversation on social media. Let us hear from you. What are your thoughts on this development, and how have you, received it as a small business owner, as a farmer, as anyone who probably is being exempted by the withholding tax regime? Let us hear from you. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.